Just to introduce you to what the White House Correspondents Dinner is, this is kind of symbolic. Here is John Legend walking into this thing with Chrissy Teigen. And Chrissy Teigen is having her train, she has a dress with a train, handled by a couple of servants, like a couple of people who work for her as she walks through the crowd toward the White House Correspondents Dinner. There you can see it. And you got some trans protesters over there. They're just walking right through, and there she is, having her train held by not one, not two, but three separate people who are holding her train as she walks into this event in Washington, D.C. So it's the worst event of the year. Well, other than the State of the Union. I hate the State of the Union, but this one may be even worse. The State of the Union is about the monarchic institution of the presidency and the legislature pretending that we actually have a constitutional monarchy in some way. The White House Correspondents' Dinner is just a perfectly open celebration of the elite class who scratch each other's back, and it's really disgusting. It's truly gross. It's like the Met Gala, except if the Met Gala actually included journalists and Republicans and Democrats all getting together to prove the thesis that there is, in fact, a quote-unquote uni-party.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Of elites who really like each other and hang out behind closed doors and actually don't care very much about the people they're supposed to represent. Remember, all of these people are supposed to be representing you.
And that's it.
Right? The press are supposed to be out there asking hard questions of all politicians so that you get the choices that you have been promised. The politicians, they are supposed to be your representatives, representing your opinions in the hall of power, representing your interests in the halls of power. Instead, they're all getting together and they're patting each other on the back, and then they're rewarding each other for having patted each other on the back. And it really is like the Hollywood elites and the journalistic elites and the media elites. They all get together with the political elites, and then they demonstrate that they're all part of the blob, right? When people talk about the blob in Washington, D.C., this is what they are talking about. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with having friends who are across the political aisle from you. There's nothing wrong with going to confabs with people you disagree with so that you can speak with them about the matters of disagreement and maybe give them your point of view. There is something wrong with people all getting together to celebrate why they are so superior to everyone else and none of the standards apply to them. And that's what the White House Correspondents' Dinner has turned into. It's why Donald Trump, to his credit, boycotted the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Also, he was willing to recognize, as apparently many other Republicans are not, that the White House Correspondents' Dinner is just a place where people hate Republicans, at least hate conservatives, hate people who do not follow the party line. And so Trump was like, I'm just not in. I'm not going to go because it's just the same thing as a Comedy Central Democratic Party roast. But a bunch of Republicans showed up to this one, and you can tell who's who by who showed up. According to Politico, Brittany Griner showed up with Gayle King. RNC chair Ronna McDaniel walked over to DNC chair Jamie Harrison, their first in-person meeting. Kellyanne Conway chatted with Maine Governor Janet Mills. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer posed with Julia Fox in black swan makeup.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
NRCC Chair Richard Hudson became starry-eyed when he met Justin Hartland from his all-time favorite TV show, This Is Us. A climate activist obstructed Ron Klain's path into the Hilton. Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson confronted a woman for pushing his fiancée. Stars and reporters at the Fox News table looked uncomfortable during jokes about Tucker Carlson. Jonathan Karl chatting with Anthony Fauci. Anthony Blinken talking to Dasha and Yulia Navalnaya. Jeff Nussbaum chatting with Chris Sununu. All the glitterati, and they're all together because they are all part of the same general coterie. Again, parties are parties, but this is a public party, and it is designed to demonstrate to the American public that these are the members of your governing class. It all feels very Hunger Games. All these people getting together and patting themselves on the back for just how much they actually like each other. Like, underneath it all, we like each other. Here's the question. What common values unite these people, right? If you're going to have an event where everybody gets together, and then, again, they sort of discuss the issues from a variety of different viewpoints, that's a different thing. But if you're talking about an event that just celebrates what we share, and the thing that you share is that you all make a lot of money and that you all share a common political viewpoint, which is generally socially liberal, and that you all generally share a widespread belief that you are sort of superior to the common man. Don your tux. You go to a place where they give you all sorts of swag and really nice dinners, and then you listen to famous comedians talking, and you're sitting at the same same table with people who you supposedly are fighting day in and day out. It all looks like a bit of a sham, doesn't it? Just to introduce you to what the White House Correspondents' Dinner is, this is kind of symbolic. Here is John Legend walking into this thing with Chrissy Teigen. And Chrissy Teigen is having her train, she has a dress with a train, handled by a couple of servants, like a couple of people who work for her as she walks through the crowd toward the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There you can see it. And you got some trans protesters over there. They're just walking right through, and there she is, having her train held by not one, not two, but three separate people who are holding her train as she walks into this event in Washington, D.C. And just to demonstrate how close are the connections between all the people who are in the room. At the very top of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, ABC News' Karen Travers gave an award to the Washington Post's Matt Visor as like the best journalist and the journalist of the year. And what exactly did Matt Visor report on? I'll let her explain.
The Aldo Beckman Award for Overall Excellence in White House Coverage is named for a former association president, the late Chicago Tribune correspondent Aldo Beckman. This year, the award goes to Matt Visor of the Washington Post. The judges said Matt Visor stood out among his competitors for work that went beyond the humdrum of covering the managed events of the presidency and the White House. Visor captured the spirit of Joe Biden, particularly with stories about the president's brother and how his Catholic faith influenced his strategic vision of the office.
So, for kiss-assery, the award goes to Matt Visor of the Washington Post. And then, Matt Visor of the Washington Post, he gets up, he accepts the award, and then he's making kissy face with Joe Biden. This is the relationship between the press and the Democratic administration. And by the way, half of the Republicans, apparently. This is the relationship, and it's really gross. And you wonder why the outsider appeal of people like Donald Trump was so big in 2016? It is because of this thing. It is because there are many of us out here who take politics quite seriously and who actually care about the policies that emerge from Washington, D.C., and don't understand why these people, why John Legend and Chrissy Teigen and Matt Visor and Joe Biden are the people who are sort of controlling how policy works in the country, and why idiot Republicans would go to this thing and then go along with it. Like, why? What is the point of it? Is the hobnobbing making the world better? Again, this was not an exchange of ideas. This is a celebration of what we share in common. What do you share in common? What is it that you share in common? Do you share in common the perspective of the great leader? As we'll see, Joe Biden did a quote-unquote comedy routine that was not particularly comedic. We'll get to that momentarily. First, President Trump recently issued a warning from Mar-a-Lago. He said, quote, "Our currency is crashing and will soon no longer be the world standard, which would be our greatest defeat, frankly, in 200 years. Now, the reality is that the dollar is, in fact, softening as of late. There are three reasons central banks are starting to move away from the U.S. dollar: inflation, deficit spending, and our insurmountable national debt, which, of course, are all related to one another. There's one asset that you can rely upon to withstand famine, war, political and economic upheaval. This goes back thousands of years. This, of course, is gold. I have gold from Birch Gold in preparation for uncertain economic times, and you can trust them as well. You can own gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account with the help of Birch Gold. That's correct. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k, maybe from a previous employer, into an IRA in gold. The best part, you don't pay a penny out of pocket. When currencies fail, gold is a safe haven. How much more time does the dollar have? Well, I don't know the answer to that, neither do you, which is one reason why you should diversify. Protect your savings with gold the way that I did. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Thousands of happy customers. Text BEN to 989898. Get your free info kit on gold. Again, text BEN to 989898 today. Diversification is your smart financial strategy. Text BEN to 989898 to get started. Starting out looking for a job, it can be really tough because, how do you make your resume strong? How do you make sure that the right people actually even see that resume? ZipRecruiter can make that happen for you. You can actually make sure the right people see your resume. And if you're an employer and you're looking for a great employee, ZipRecruiter can help you sift through those thousands of submissions. ZipRecruiter helps you find the most qualified people for your roles fast. Right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. ZipRecruiter's matching technology helps you find the most qualified candidates for a wide variety of roles. If you see a candidate you like, you can easily send them a personal invite so they're more likely to apply. Their user-friendly dashboard makes it easy to filter, review, and rate your candidates all from one place. Let ZipRecruiter help you find the best people for all of your roles. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within day one. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. Try ZipRecruiter for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. ZipRecruiter is indeed the smartest way to hire. We've been using it here at Daily Wire for years. It's how we're constantly upgrading our employee base. You should do the same thing. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire and give it a try for free. The White House Correspondents' Dinner. Again, the reason I'm spending a lot of time on this is because the White House Correspondents' Dinner is indicative of the nature of American politics. An elite glitterati who have merged Hollywood, journalism, and the Democratic Party. And they all work in tandem with one another. This is why Barack Obama, who is a politician, has a Netflix deal in Hollywood. It is why Hollywood makes movies about journalists who then cover D.C. It's all the blob. It's all the same. And there are many blobs in D.C. You've heard Donald Trump talk about the blob of the State Department and the administrative state. Agreed. All of that is true. But all of those people are worshiping at the altar of the smaller, higher class blob. And the White House Correspondents' Dinner, that Correspondents' Dinner is the cultural blob that from which virtually all big ideas spring and where consensus is created that is very different from the consensus of the American people. Okay, so the person who was the MC was a person named Robert Wood Jr. I'd never heard of this person. I guess this guy is on Comedy Central, and he's done some guest spots on Trevor Noah's Comedy Central program, so he is a fraction of the fame of Trevor Noah, who had like 7 viewers in the first place, which means that they love him over in Washington, D.C. So here he was introducing Joe Biden at the White House Correspondents Dinner.
Y'all give it up for Dark Brandon. I'm happy to be here. Oh, real quick, Mr. President, I think you left some of your classified documents up here. You can get to
Roy Wood Jr., rather. I mean, that's how little I know about this human being. CNN, meanwhile, is off stage doing the red carpet thing because, again, there's no difference between E! Entertainment and CNN. They're all the same. Here is CNN covering the White House Correspondents' Dinner as Joe Biden surprises them by getting up to the podium.
Now I want to toss back to one of my favorite reality TV stars, John Berman and Jessica Dean.
Thank you. Yeah, Phil is, there's the president right there walking into the ballroom at the Capitol Hilton.
President Roy Wood, we already saw up there on the dais, the vice president as well, and now the president himself has there. Harry, if we still have you, as we're watching this.
Yes.
Harry, will you just ask Phil if he hasn't walked away who he's wearing tonight?
Who are you wearing? It's so obnoxious. It's so obnoxious. Hollywood is Hollywood. Journalism should be journalism. The politicians should be the politicians, but they're not. They're all the same. You know who knows that? Joe Biden. He is going to exploit that to the hilt. So Biden gets up and he does a half quasi-comedy routine and half a stump speech. So he begins by talking about how the free press is a pillar of American democracy. Of course, by free press, he means people who just are stenographers for him. He means the Praetorian Guard who prevent him from having to answer any difficult questions. Of course, he thinks they're pillars of democracy. They never ask him a tough question. They allow him to get away with everything. In fact, half of his routine was laughing at the press for not asking him tough questions. Here was Joe Biden last night.
Jill, Kamala, Doug, and I, members of our administration, are here to send a message to the country and, quite frankly, to the world. The free press is a pillar, maybe the pillar of a free society, not the enemy.
Well, they're not your enemy. I mean, they're not even your opponents. They're in your pocket. They literally submit their questions, as we found out last week, in advance to you so you can write them on note cards because you cannot speak English, because you are no longer mentally functional. And then Joe Biden did this routine where he pretended that he cares deeply, apparently, about a Wall Street Journal reporter who's been kidnapped and held essentially for ransom by the Russian government. Joe Biden was willing to trade the merchant of death for a basketball player. Don't worry, he talked about that too. But he began by expressing sympathy for the Wall Street Journal reporter's parents who showed up to this thing.
To Evan's parents, Ella, Mikhail, and sister Danielle, as I've told you in person, we, not just me, we all stand with you.
That is Evan Gershkovich. He is not trading anybody for Evan Gershkovich so far as I'm aware, but he did champion his own genius in freeing Brittany Griner. This was very important to him, obviously.
Tonight, unlike last year, Brittany Griner's here with her wife, Cheryl. Brittany, where are you, kid? Stand up. Come on. I love this woman.
Can I just point out that they are giving a standing ovation to a woman who was arrested in Russia for bringing drugs into the country, and then we had to trade an actual terror supplier to free this person? You may think that that was a good deal. I don't think that was a great trade. That was like the only WNBA trade anyone has ever cared about. Putting that aside, does the person who was freed deserve the plaudits? Like, I just don't understand the logic there.